Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest installment of the PTW podcast, where we are previewing Week 7 of the NFL. It is a big one. I am here, as always, with my good friend Tossie, the football Greek, and we've got a slate of games that makes this Week 7 a very, very intriguing one. But we're going to start off with the first game, the Thursday night game that just ended not too long ago at the time of this recording. You and I thought that the home team was gonna come out and they're gonna get a much needed win. The Denver Broncos and the New Orleans Saints both really needed a win in this game. Both seasons kind of going in the dumps, but one team had to rise from the ashes. And you know what? It makes sense that it's the team with the steady quarterback position, as opposed to the one that has an injured quarterback and the backup didn't play very well, and so they had to go to the third stringer. So the Denver Broncos dominate the Saints in Thursday Night Football. Final score of 33-10. New Orleans has lost 5 games in a row after starting 2-0. Things do not look good for them.
No, they're done. I'll be surprised if they don't trade Alvin Kamara or something at some point, because they lost. So now they lost Shaheed for the season, and then they've got Olave, who's out now too, and Derek Carr's out. So it's literally he's the only guy standing, and Taysom Hill's out with broken ribs. So man, it's a tough go of it in New Orleans right now. They don't got any players. And, we should have been smarter when we're thinking about this game.
In hindsight, I don't know what we were thinking. It really should have been the Broncos. I wouldn't be surprised. We talked in the previous episode about coaches that are on the hot seat and that could lose their jobs mid-season. We talked Mike McCarthy, which I don't think will happen because Jerry Jones historically doesn't do that. Doug Peterson, if they lose, the Jaguars lose this week against the Patriots, I think he's unfortunately let go. Dennis Allen, if you start a season 2-0 in a division that maybe starting the season you didn't think was going to be that strong. I mean, you thought Tampa Bay would still be a decent team, like a 9-8 team, a 10-7 team. You really didn't know what Atlanta was going to do, and Carolina's Carolina. So you thought that you had a decent chance at it, and you start 2-0. You wall up the Panthers, you wall up the Cowboys. You're thinking you're great, and then 5 in a row. I think Dennis Allen's job is in trouble, man. I don't think he lasts maybe even past this week, to be honest with you.
Yeah, there's been some rumblings about that. And, he might get fired this week. It's very possible or very soon thereafter. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, he's kind of been like a mediocre coach pretty much the whole time he's been there. And, wherever else he's been, I think he was in Denver as well. So he's just like a 500 coach, right? So it's I don't think he's anything special. They're probably going to move on from him probably at the end of the season, and we'll see who they end up going with, and so they hire maybe Bill Belichick, someone like that along those lines.
Well, speaking of that, actually, we'll pivot for a second, because I read something very interesting that I want to kind of run by you. Okay, so this past week, Tom Brady gets approval from the NFL offices that he is going to become part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. This took a while to approve because obviously he's a broadcaster for Fox, and so this took a little bit longer than it should have. Historically, for NFL ownership to approve someone getting a stake in ownership of an NFL franchise. With Tom Brady's now new ownership of Las Vegas, he has a whole new set of rules that he has to abide by as a Fox broadcaster. These rules are crazy. So he's not allowed to be in production meetings. He's not allowed to be in any of the team. He's not allowed to meet with any of the teams before the game starts. Basically, Tom Brady has to show up to the game the day of and just call the game cold, as if you and I were calling the game at home. He has no insight. He can't interview any of the players. Well, it's kind of tampering, right? Like
Yeah.
now that he has a vested interest in the Las Vegas Raiders,
Yeah.
he can't really like go and I don't know talk to I don't know Brock Purdy and like maybe pick his brain about like, hey, you're in a contract here.
Yeah.
Well, how would you feel about maybe playing for the
Mhm.
Raiders instead of the
That's
Niners,
true.
right? He
Yeah.
can't do that, right? That would be
Yeah.
like tampering. So he now as a broadcast host and as an owner has very limited uh uh um like insight as to what the
Yeah.
games are going to be. But this was what I was going to say. What do you think about the idea? Because the Raiders are not going to end the season very well.
No.
What if we live in a world where Tom Brady's first act as part owner of the Las Vegas Raiders is to hire Bill Belichick as the next head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders?
That's definitely intriguing.
Someone brought it up, and I was like, "Oh my god, I could see it. I could totally see it because."
And then to become the first owner / player when he comes out of retirement and starts playing.
Belichick says, "You know what, man? This quarterback situation we got is not great."
No, it's not.
If you're calling the game, go call the game. But if you're not calling the game that week, come play quarterback for us.
Yeah, right. The broadcaster / player / owner / whatever,
everything.
You know.
Just call him
he
slash.
Just do whatever he wants. Yeah.
Cordell Stewart, right? Just call him slash.
Yeah. The goat /
the goat / the commentator / whatever.
It's wild, man. Yeah,
dude.
no,
Speaking of commentators, I don't want to like. I'm kind of going on a tangent right now, but what the rest of this episode is going to be us predicting Week 7. So I figure we can kind of talk sporadically about this kind of stuff. But I think, and maybe this is just me because I'm very much like involved with media.
Yeah.
But I respect the hell out of Al Michaels. I think he's had a fantastic career.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very good anymore.
No,
dude.
He's not. He needs to hang it up. He needs to like
that play where New Orleans threw the interception.
Yeah.
And Denver's Diaz running it back. There's like no excitement in his voice at all. He's like, "Oh, and Denver intercepts the ball and runs it back, and it's a touchdown." And it's like, dude, where's your like excitement?
They're saying that about the Deebo Samuel 70+ yard touchdown last week too. How he got it was just like, "Oh, and Deebo Samuel catches it and runs it in for a touchdown." He's like,
you know what's funny? You know when I first noticed it, and again, Dolphins fan. Last year, Dolphins played Jets, and right before halftime, Jets throw a Hail Mary, and it becomes a Fail Mary because Javon Holland intercepts it at the 2-yard line and runs it all the way back. And Al Michaels literally goes, "And Holland's got it, and Holland's running back, and Holland, are you kidding me? Oh my God, it's a touchdown!" And like that was his tone. There was no like he didn't get past like a 5. He was just like, I don't know what he's saving himself for, to be honest.
He's just
it's not there
at this point.
It's not there. You know,
making that money, man.
Yeah, man. But yeah, no. I mean, would that be intriguing to you if Bill Belichick became the coach of the Las Vegas Raiders? Like, and like Tom Brady's first act as owner would be, hey, let's get the current coach out of there. He's not doing anything. The Raiders are kind of like at a fire sale because they gave up Devontae Adams for nothing. There's rumors that Max Crosby could be on the trade block.
Come to the Niners. Come on.
Come to the Dolphins. I'll take you because Bradley Chubb.
So good.
We could theoretically get rid of Bradley Chubb next year, and I wouldn't mind having Max Crosby on my team. Yeah. I wouldn't mind having Max Crosby and Bradley Chubb, but it'd be hilarious because Christian Wilkins left the Dolphins to join the Raiders to be next to Max Crosby.
It's wild.
And they hand Christian Wilkins this fat contract, and then now it's like, oh well, we might have to separate y'all because we're not in a good position right now. But I don't think that the Raiders are in tank mode either, to be honest with you. I think they're just
not yet.
No.
Almost.
No. I don't think I don't know. I feel like Devontae Adams they just gave up. But I feel like if they were to like they got to figure out the quarterback situation. That's obvious. Entering the season with Gardner Minshew as your starting quarterback is your biggest mistake. That's idiotic. What are you doing? But you get a quarterback, and like you don't need A tier quarterback, but you can get a B tier quarterback. You can get like a Joe Flacco, a Justin Fields. Look what they're doing right now. You get those quarterbacks, and then you can go straight into getting like maybe a decent receiver. Obviously, you just gave up Devontae Adams, but like a decent receiver that allows you to be kind of relevant again. In my opinion, I don't know.
Well, they got to get definitely a better quarterback. I mean, that's the first thing on the list. I mean, with any franchise, like that's where it ends. That's where it starts. That's pretty much everything, right? So they need to start there. And then Jacoby Myers actually isn't a bad receiver. I mean, when he's healthy, he's pretty good actually. I think the Niners even tried to trade for him when they were in that Brandon Ayuk saga. They were like almost going to trade Ayuk for Myers, so that was interesting. But he's a good receiver. Yeah. But they could use another one, and they just traded him.
You could always use more.
Exactly.
Hey.
Exactly.
Dolphins could trade Tyreek Hill to the Raiders.
Yeah.
It could happen. It could happen. I think if there's any city that Tyreek Hill would be like absolutely like not gutted leaving Miami for because he loves Miami.
Yeah.
Well, Vegas is probably that city.
It's like
where am I Vegas going? Is probably that city where he'd be like, all right, I can go to Vegas, Yeah. And if Bill Belichick's the coach, and then you get like a decent B tier quarterback in there, all of a sudden, the Raiders don't look that bad, right?
Yeah, anyway, that's very true.
Not that I want to get rid of Tyreek Hill, but I'm kind of over his shenanigans too, if I'm being honest. Okay, it is time for us to predict the rest of the Week 7 games. We've got an entire slate here that we're going to cover. Week 7 has a number of high-profile games.
Oh, yeah.
Starting with the New England Patriots. No, I'm just kidding. The New England Patriots, Jacksonville Jaguars in London. We're going to go through this real quick because who cares? Jacksonville has it's up favored by -5.5. I think New England wins this. I think New England will cover as well. I have no faith in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah, I'm just saying that right now. Honestly, I have zero faith in this team.
I'm with you on that. I think Drake May is a better quarterback at this point than Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
I mean, he looked a lot better going up against a tough Houston team last week, and he actually threw for 3 touchdowns. So I think this week he's going to back it up. He's going to his first win in London, and he's going to send Doug Peterson back in. So that's my prediction. There's New England Patriots in London. Let's go.
100%. I agree with that 1,000%. The Seattle Seahawks travel to Atlanta. This is an intriguing game. Seahawks starting the season 3-0 have now lost 3 in a row and are 3-3. Atlanta Falcons looking good. Looking really, really good. The game is in Atlanta. Atlanta's favored by 3. Mm-hmm. Seattle's defense, I feel like, is decent.
No.
You don't think so?
They're not playing well right now. Atlanta's going to carve them up.
You think so? Okay.
It's gonna be a high scoring game. It's gonna be a high scoring game.
I think Atlanta will win. I'm just trying to think if it's gonna be by 3, if it's gonna be by 4, or if it's gonna be by way more. You think that Atlanta's gonna like run away with it?
No, I think they'll win by. I think they'll cover. Seattle, I think, is struggling right now, and they're kind of in the downs. And they started off 3-0, but they didn't really play anybody really that good. So, now that they started to play these better teams, they're starting to lose. They're not, Geno Smith is not, they didn't write him back, but now he's kind of like, okay, well, I'm not going to write him back, but he's got to the point where maybe he should because he's not playing that well. So, at this point, I think Atlanta's playing well. Their offense is clicking. Kirk Cousins playing well. I think they're going to win this game, and they'll cover.
I'm with you. Okay. Yeah. So far we've got New England covering, Atlanta covering.
Yeah. So New England. Yeah, I think New England is a dog though. So You know,
Oh,
they
New
don't
England's a
even-
dog. Yeah,
they're,
they don't
they're
even need
getting
to cover.
points.
Yeah, they're getting
So
not covering. You're
even
right.
if they lost, but I still think they'll win. But
Yeah.
even if they lost by less than 5,
Yeah.
you know, we're still in the W.
We're still in the W on that.
department. Yeah.
Tennessee travels to Buffalo to play the new look Buffalo Bills with Amari Cooper as their wide receiver. That's something that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe just a quick opinion on this. I think, who do you think has the better situation right now? You think Devontae Adams to the Jets has the better situation, or does Amari Cooper to the Bills have the situation? And by the way, it did come out that the Bills were in fact active in the pursuit of Devontae Adams once they got a whiff that he was going to go to the Jets.
I told you they wanted him.
Oh, of course. I mean, yeah, they need a receiver, but they settle for Amari Cooper. What do you think is the better situation right now?
Buffalo. Yeah. I mean, Devontae and Rodgers have a really good connection, so I mean that's a good situation for him. But as far as like where's the better place to play right now, it's Buffalo with Josh Allen, who is an MVP candidate, who has a 2-game lead on them in the division plus the tiebreaker at this moment. So Amari Cooper is in a better spot at this point, but I don't think that's going to change. But I think this week he's probably not going to play, or not, at least not play the full, like a full game. He's not all the snaps. They're saying that he has got in. He drove over there. He didn't fly. He drove. So like from Cleveland to Buffalo. So he's like a little bit behind. He's learning the playbook and all that stuff. So he might not get a full complement of snaps this week. So if you're have him in fantasy, it might be a little bit risky to play him this week.
Buffalo's favored by 9.
Yeah, this is Buffalo destruction right now against Tennessee. So
yeah, I think so too.
It's gonna be a big game.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think Buffalo covers.
I mean, Cooper might even get a touchdown. They put him in, he might get a touchdown. So
I wouldn't be surprised
if you're banking on that. So
I wouldn't be surprised at all.
But yeah, Buffalo's gonna roll, and they got a new running back too. Ray Davis looks good, so I think he'll get a little bit more play after looking so good on Monday night against Jets. They'll probably put him in with Cook, who's dealing with the injury still. Like split the backfield work. So Ray Davis is another pickup. If you haven't picked him up already, like good guy to get in fantasy. He looked good.
The Cincinnati Bengals travel to easily the worst team in the NFL right now. I think no
another
one
bad
comes
one.
close.
Cleveland.
Cincy's favored by 5.5, but it's a division game.
It's a division game. They just traded their best wide receiver in Cleveland. Deshaun Watson's a mess. They are going to probably get Nick Chubb back. It looks like Jerome Ford's out, but they're not sure how much carries they're going to give Nick Chubb, if he's going to do a full workload or what. But, I think they're going to lean on him a little bit more because the quarterback play's been so bad, and that's kind of been what the beat writers have been saying. So Nick Chubb actually is a viable play. Like, if you have him in fantasy, like, I'm thinking about starting him for my team, but it doesn't mean that Cleveland's going to win the game. I think this is an easy one. I think Cincinnati runs away with it. They'll cover the 5 points.
I think you are right. It's 5.5, by the way.
Okay, 5.5.
It's 5.5.
They'll win by at least a touchdown.
I pick Cincy to win. I'll pick Cincy to win.
Do you think they're going to cover?
Yeah, I don't know. And the only reason why I say I don't know is because it's a division game.
I think they'll cover.
Cleveland, for all of its faults, I don't think there's been a game where they've been, with the exception of Buffalo, I want to say, where they've been blown out.
That's true. They did. We also lost to the Eagles that last week because they didn't cover. So that's true. They only won by 4.
I'm going to say Cincy doesn't cover. I'm going to say Cincy. I'm going to say they win by field goal. I'm going to say they win by field goal.
So
I think Cincy wins.
Cincy covers.
But I think Cincy wins by field goal.
You're on the other side of the coin then.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So we'll mark that. Okay.
All right.
Next game here. Let's see.
Next game is a good one. So Houston travels to Green Bay.
Oh yeah.
Where Green Bay is favored by 3. Houston 5-1. Green Bay 4-2, two teams trending in the right direction. In my opinion, and look, and I don't know if I have like an AFC bias. I may have an AFC bias, and I think that's just because I've rooted for an AFC team my entire life. And I think that the teams in the AFC are cooler than the teams in the NFC, and I like CBS better than I like Fox. So I don't know. I like CBS's NFL music better than I like Fox's.
This is like
NFL
your pick
this
right
is
now,
this is like this is where my mind always just. Even in the Pro Bowl, when I never watch it, when I check the score, I always kind of secretly want the AFC to win. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I have an AFC bias. Okay, I grew up on like the Dolphins, obviously, the Bills, the Oilers, the Chargers, the Seahawks back when they were in the AFC. Like the Seahawks being in the NFC, the Seahawks being in the NFC is still weird to me. Okay, like 20 years later, it's still really weird to me that the Seahawks are no longer an AFC team, that they're an NFC team. Anyways, I'm going to shut up now. I picked the Texans. I think the Texans are going to win. I'm picking the Texans.
That's where this is going, huh?
Yeah, this is going where I think the Texans are going to. Yeah, go ahead.
Green Bay's playing really well, but Texans are playing better. So, and they're starting to put it together here. And, they have the better younger quarterback in Stroud. I think he's better than Love. They've got more weapons and Diggs and Tank Dell, Joe Mixon. I think Green Bay is a good team. I think it's going to be a close game. What's the spread right now on that game?
-3 for Green Bay.
Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Texans too. And even if Green Bay does win, I don't think they'll cover the 3 points. But I think that the Texans go over it. They might push the bet, right? Like, if they win by a field goal. But I think that's the most they could win by it in this game. I think it's going to be a real close game. But I do think the Texans are going to win this game.
Okay. The next game is the Miami Dolphins back from their bye, traveling to Indianapolis to play the Indianapolis Colts. Indy is favored by 3. And listen, I have a spiel. I'm just going to tell my spiel, and then I'm going to let it go, and then we're going to move on.
All right.
It is being reported that Anthony Richardson is coming back to play quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. So Joe Flacco is going back to the bench. Anthony Richardson is starting and is expected to start for this game. Granted, Miami is playing with Tyler Huntley, but also they've had an entire bye week to figure their shit out, to figure to figure their game plan out, to figure everything out. This is a
must win.
This is a must win for the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Because if Anthony Richardson is in at quarterback, then I don't think have an excuse, because I don't think homeboy can play very well. I think Miami's defense can figure him out quite well.
Yeah.
Miami's third down defense, by the way, has been excellent this year.
Yeah.
So get your shit figured out on offense, score some points, rely on Raheem Mostert, rely on Jalen Wright, get Tyreek involved. If Achan's coming back, I don't even know if Achan's cleared from the protocol, but it should be.
Yeah.
Then you have no excuse.
Yeah.
Win this game, get to 500, and then Tua is back next week. Okay? Yeah. So with that, then you got a home game against Arizona. This is a have to win game. Yeah. Now, do they win? Indianapolis is favored by 3, so it doesn't matter. Miami has to win this game. I am going against my better judgment, and I'm picking the Dolphins to win this game.
Nice. You're going on the right side.
I'm going yeah.
I'm with you. I think the Dolphins win this game as well. I think the preparation, they figure out a game plan. I also agree Anthony Richardson is not as good a quarterback as Joe Flacco.
No.
He's a better running quarterback, but he's not a better throwing quarterback. His accuracy is really bad. His decision making is not that good. He's good throwing the deep ball, but I don't think they're a better team with him at quarterback. I think they're actually downgraded, like you were saying, when they take Joe Flacco out and they put him in. So when you're looking at the offensive side of the ball for them, like you're going to downgrade their wide receivers like Pittman and Downs, but also you got to look at upgrading the running back position because I think they're going to try to run the ball a little bit more. I don't know if Jonathan Taylor is going to be back this week. If he is, expect him to have a big game again. He's really, really awesome running back. But I do think the Dolphins are going to find a way to win this game. They've had 2 weeks to prepare, and they desperately need to win it. And they've got the better talent on both sides of the ball, essentially. Tyreek Hill and Devin A-Chain and Jalen Waddle, even with Huntley at quarterback. So, hopefully they figured some stuff out, figure out some ways to get these guys open, get them the ball quickly in space so they can make some plays and get some offensive production. Because I think their defense should do well against the Colts.
God, I hope so. Give me something to cheer about, for the love of God. The Detroit Lions are moseying on to the Minnesota Vikings in Minnesota. It is a division matchup. It is a awesome division matchup. I think easily the game of the week. As far as the early games go, I know Chiefs play San Francisco, and that might be the game of the week as well.
Super Bowl rematch, right?
But in my opinion, I mean, these are two of the better teams in the NFL. Yeah. Detroit making their way to Minnesota. Minnesota is favored by 1.5. I'm just going to tell you all right now, Detroit is running away with this game. I'm just letting you know. I love Minnesota. I love everything Minnesota has done. I love their defense. Hats off to Brian Flores. I love what Sam Darnold is doing. I love what I love that coach. I love everything about Minnesota. Yeah. Detroit is on another level right now. They are a completely different level team right now. They are a complete team from top to bottom, in my opinion. And I don't think this game. I think they run away with this game. I'll be honest with you. I think Minnesota scores maybe a touchdown and a field goal, and I think that's it. I think Detroit runs away with it. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Where's the game at?
Minnesota. It's in Minnesota.
Yeah. No. This is gonna be one of those back and forth games. I think it's gonna be high scoring. I think Detroit with their defense, losing the best. I mean, that's a huge loss for them. Aiden Hutchinson. If you look at the metrics and like his stats, like compared, like his WAR, like compared against, like wins above replacement, right? So like it's just there's no replacing him essentially. So I think their defense is going to struggle or suffer from that. It's not going to be, and then Minnesota's defense is legit, man. So I think it's going to be a higher scoring game, but it's going to be a close game. And I think that Minnesota is going to win the game actually.
Okay.
And then go and they're to stay undefeated.
We're on different sides here.
Yeah.
And let me preface again. I respect the hell out of Minnesota this season. Yeah. I really like the Vikings this season. But
what's the spread on that game?
-1.5 Minnesota.
Yeah. So it's a pick 'em. Yeah, I'm going with Minnesota. I just think their defense is going to find ways to disrupt Goff, and they play that run blitz style. Like they're gonna slow down the running game a little bit of Detroit. So I think they'll both score points, but I think Minnesota in the end is going to win the game.
We'll see. I'm sticking with my pick. All right. The Philadelphia Eagles travel to New York for another division game. Actually, a lot of division games on the docket this week, but another division game. The Eagles coming off of that Nick Sirianni press conference where he's using his kid to shield himself from the reporters. The New York Giants coming off of a tough loss. And listen, I don't know. Is Malik Neighbors back?
Yeah, he cleared concussion protocol, so I think that he'll be back this week. So that's a big game. I mean, he's amazing. Like he's an awesome receiver. I think that New York's been playing well, man. Yeah. And Philly hasn't been playing that well.
No.
So I'm thinking this is a game that New York's going to win. They're going to upset the Eagles, even they should be favored, right? The Eagles are favored in this game.
Eagles are favored by 3.
Yeah. So they're home dogs, man. They're gonna win. They're gonna win. New York. I think I give it to the Giants this week.
I
I think
agree.
they've been playing well. They found some new weapons too. Well, like in Tracy Jr., who's been awesome running back, and they'll probably get Devin Singletary. So then they've got some more power in the running game, and like some options because Tracy Jr. is it's a converted wide receiver, so he can get out of the backfield and catch passes. Might even put him on the field at the same time. So and then they got Wan'Dale Robinson, who's like always catching the balls underneath and always getting a ton of catches. And Slayton's like played well in the absence of Neighbors. So New York's play better, and Brian Burns is playing awesome on the defensive side of the ball. So I think New York's going to win this game.
In a game of who the hell cares, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to LA to play the Rams. And I mean that in the nicest way. If you're a fan of either of these franchises, I don't mean any harm, but I mean really two franchises that are just not doing anything at the moment. The Raiders 2-4, traveling to the Rams 1-4. The Rams are favored by a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that's just because the Raiders' offensive situation is terrible at the moment. You just traded your best wide receiver, even though he hasn't been playing for a few weeks, and your quarterback situation is abysmal.
Yeah.
And the Rams have some star power here and there. Sure, I'll take the Rams. I'll take the Rams by a touchdown.
So the Rams are at home.
And they're favored by a touchdown.
I think they're getting Cooper Kupp back this week. Like that's the word on the street. I mean, we'll see. It's going to probably be a game time decision, but I mean, you're getting Cooper Kupp back. I mean, one of the best receivers, and he was having a monster season up to this point before he got hurt. And then you put him with Kyren Williams and Stafford, and their offense should click a little bit better. And I expect them to put up some points against the Raiders. Like the Raiders have been playing terrible, and they came out last week like actually firing out like pretty well against the Steelers. He got the opening drive touchdown, and then it just all went downhill from there. So I do think that LA's going to win this game, and they're going to get their second win of the season, and go to 2-4 at this point. So I think that's what I would predict, and I think they'll cover. Raiders aren't good, and they just traded their best receiver. Jacoby Myers is hurt; he might not play. Their running back situation's kind of up in the air with Madison and Zamir White, and then they're starting Aiden O'Connell. I mean, he sucks. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not looking good.
Sorry, Aiden O'Connell fans. He's not good.
The Carolina Panthers are traveling to the Washington Commanders. We got NFC South versus NFC East. Commanders are favored by 8 at home, and I think this is a very easy pick. I think Washington bounces back. They played really well against the Ravens. It's just that the Ravens are on another level. Derrick Henry's at another level right now. I don't know if there's any team in the NFL right now that can beat the Baltimore Ravens right now. So I think Washington gets back. They go to 5-2. They cover, in my opinion, easily.
Yeah. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Washington's going to win the division in the East this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that with 100%.
I think it's one of those things, you get this quarterback who, is a talented generational type player, and with this great accuracy, ability, like dual threat, like can run the ball, and as long as he stays healthy, I think Washington's going to keep winning games. They've got a last place schedule, so they're going to get they got some easier teams they play this year, and then their division is not that great with the Eagles and the Cowboys and the Giants. So I think that Washington is actually going to win their division, the East Division, NFC East this year.
I would agree with you 100%.
Hot take.
I agree with you 100% because, listen, folks, and apologies to Cowboys fans out there. I know a few of them. Yeah, it's not this year. It's not happening this year.
No.
And Eagles are they will self implode. I think Nick Sirianni will self implode, and
Starting
I think Nick
this week.
Sirianni. I think starting this week they're going to self implode, and I think Nick Sirianni after this year is out of a job. I truly think that both Mike McCarthy and Nick Sirianni are out of a job at the end of this year.
Coaching.
And so all of a sudden, the Washington Commanders become the kings of the NFC East because the Giants, look, they're making steps, and who knows if Daniel Jones, now with the addition of Malik Neighbors, is actually going to be a competent quarterback. Remember what Stephon Diggs did to Josh Allen, and I'm not saying Josh Allen is Daniel Jones or vice versa, but what I'm saying is you have to judge talent based on the talent they have around them. It's very difficult to be a singular player that makes everybody automatically better because you're just that good. Okay. There's only one Tom Brady. There's only one Peyton Manning. There's only one Aaron Rodgers, maybe in his prime. There's one Patrick Mahomes, and that's it. All right, folks. Otherwise, it's very difficult to plug and play players, quarterbacks specifically, that will take you from here to here. Just like that. You need players. Malik Neighbors is showing that right now with the New York Giants, right? So you get a player like Jaden Daniels who is doing just that, right? Like, I think you got the pieces. You got the right coach right now. You know, the Dan Quinn kind of redemption tour right now. Maybe he can do with Washington with what he did with Atlanta. And
the front office shakeup too. You know, they hired Adam Peters from the Niners to run it. You know, like he was like a key guy in the Niners organization.
And Bob Myers, you brought up too.
The number one assistant. And they hired Bob Myers, the Warriors ex-GM, as kind of like an advisor. So, I mean, their ownership, like, since they got rid of Snyder, like, has put in some way better leadership in place. And they started off with their, with the draft, building the team around an awesome quarterback in Jay Daniels. And it looks like Washington Commanders are going to be it's an up and coming franchise and team. And so I think that, Jane Daniels is the real deal, and they're going to be winning the NFC East this year. And they're going to win this week as well against a terrible
I'm on board 100%. I'm on board with you 100%. Okay, let's talk your game. Tassi is going to this game, and I have petitioned for a camera to be on him the entire time throughout this game because Tassi's seats, he has season tickets, are on the visitors' side of the stadium. And so he's Patrick Mahomes is going to be right in front of him. Travis Kelce is going to be right in front of him. Andy Reid's right there. And
yell at them.
Venom is going to be coming out of Tassi's mouth.
Curly hair.
Venom and vileness, and just it's all just going to be protruding out of his mouth as he tries to jinx them into a loss.
Build up.
Into a loss
at the corner
at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. Listen, man, the Niners are favored by 1.5 at home. Kansas City is coming off of they're 5-0 out. They're coming off of a bye against the San Francisco 49ers. And listen.
Yeah.
Before you hate me, I'm going to explain my take.
Okay.
Later this year, when these two teams meet again, because I'm still of the mind that the Niners are going to be good enough to make it to the NFC Championship. I'm still of the mind that they'll have a very good chance to go to the Super Bowl. And when that game happens, I'm picking the Niners. But if we're talking momentum, and if we're talking, granted, the Niners won against the Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. They've had 10 days to prep for this game, okay? So that's a lot of time as well. But the Chiefs had a bye. Travis Kelce actually showed up in the previous game. They're winning with scrubs, dude. They're winning with scrubs.
Yeah.
Kansas City wins this game.
Okay.
I'm picking Kansas.
Pay less.
I'm picking Kansas City. I'm sorry. I know it hurts your heart, and I apologize. As a friend, I apologize, but I have to tell you how I feel. I'm picking the Chiefs. I'm picking the Chiefs.
So this is one of those games like where my heart is like, Niners are gonna win. You know, they're gonna prove it to them, but they've never beat Mahomes. They've had four games against him. Two of them at home, where they've gotten basically blown out, and including Brock Purdy's first ever appearance in an NFL game. He came in the fourth quarter in mop-up duty because the Chiefs are so far ahead a couple of years ago. And then, of course, in the 2 Super Bowls where they have lost 10-point leads in both of them. There's just something about the Chiefs and Mahomes that this aura or this thing that the Niners like just are. I don't know if they're scared. They just don't play the same. Like when the Eagles like called them out last year, they came and they were like, they circled that game and they're like, we're going to destroy them. And that's what they did. They went into Philly and they destroyed them after they were talking all that crap about the NFC Championship the year before. And so this year, this is their chance. They got to come out and try to destroy the Chiefs. Like, this is what I would expect from them. This is their mindset. This is what it has historically been. For some reason, when it comes to the Chiefs, they just get dumb. It's like they don't make the play, they don't make the read, they don't make the tackle. Jerick McKinnon goes for like a 3rd and 20 screen pass and it goes for a touchdown. Like, these are the things that happen against the Chiefs. Nick Bosa, they keep running a wide receiver sweep and he just can't figure out how to go and tackle the guy. He keeps getting crack blocked. These things just happen against the Chiefs. Andy Reid just has Kyle Shanahan's number right now. And I honestly want to say so bad the Niners are going to win, but I just don't see it. I'll be actually surprised if they win. I want them to win. I really do. But honestly, when I think about it, I remember thinking at the beginning of the season, I heard this I don't know who it was talking about it. They were saying at some point the Chiefs are going to be undefeated and a team is going to figure out how to beat them. And they're going to do something to Mahomes and figure it out. And I'm hoping that finally the Niners this week have that figured out and that they win the game. Having said all that, so that's the hopeful side and the realistic side. Now, I'm probably just going to go in the end with like against my better judgment because I'm just so diehard. And I can't pick the freaking Chiefs against my Niners. So the Niners are going to win this game. That's it. I don't care. I don't care about the history.
Stamped.
I don't care about what my
stamped, sealed, delivered, approved.
The Niners are going to win. That's it. Bring it. And I'll be yelling at Mahomes and Kelsey and all those idiots on the sideline.
You know what makes a good organization? Because you said something right now that made me think of something. You said that eventually the Chiefs are going to be undefeated and a team's going to figure them out, right? The Chiefs have won 3 Super Bowls already, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. They've gone to 4.
Yeah.
Not historically. Historically, they've gone to more. But in the Patrick Mahomes-led Chiefs, they've gone to 4 Super Bowls. That in itself is already freaking impressive, okay?
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl that they lost, who did they lose to?
Tom Brady, Tampa Bay.
And what was the Achilles heel of that Kansas City team the year that they lost?
It was their offensive line.
Their offensive line. And what's the first thing that they did that offseason? They shored up their goddamn offensive line. This is the thing that pisses me off about teams like the Cowboys, like the Dolphins, like the Eagles, like every other one of these teams that think that their teams are freaking good enough the way it is. Oh, we made it to the Super Bowl. Let's just run it back with everything that we have. We'll figure it out this time with the same players we have. The Kansas City Chiefs said, fuck that. And they shored up their offensive line. And what happens? They win 2 more Super Bowls. That is how you run a franchise, my friends. That's how you do it.
Hey, hold every play because they can't call a penalty on every play.
You know what? Maybe.
You know what? They might not even call it at all.
Maybe they figured out the system. You know what? I think maybe they did. Maybe they did. But at the end of the day, they freaking addressed it, and and what it resulted in 2 more Super Bowls. There are 31 other franchises that would kill for one, and they've won 3 in the span of 10 years, right? So,
well, it's been 5 years.
Span of 5. I mean, that's how you run an NFL franchise. You don't run it back with the same players over and over again because, hey, it worked last time. Let's try to. We're all in this year. Jerry Jones wants to sit there and crap on his radio hosts that are diehard Cowboys fans, and all they're doing is asking legitimate questions of like, hey, like, do you regret any of the decisions you made in the preseason? And he's like threatening to fire them.
Yeah,
come on, man, get out of here. Get out of here with that nonsense.
Dictatorship.
That is 100% dictatorship. Get out of here with that nonsense. All right.
It's America, baby.
This is what I'm saying, man. Like, don't give me this nonsense. In other news, Aaron Rodgers is playing football on Sunday. Sunday night, man, does the media love New York. They get a Monday night game and then a Sunday night game. They're traveling to Pittsburgh. They're playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson is reportedly starting this game. There you go. Justin Fields out. Tour. You know, Justin Fields saying, you know what? I had 6 games to prove myself and I didn't play well enough. Props to Justin Fields, man, to call himself out like that, to fall on the sword, to not be like, hey, I don't know, they're picking Russell over me. It's not fair. Props to him to say, you know what? Like, if I had played better, this wouldn't even be a discussion right now. And not to say that Justin Fields played bad, but when you've got a Super Bowl
QBR,
when you've got a Super Bowl winning quarterback sitting on the bench, you kind of want to give him a shot and just see what you've got in him, especially when you're paying nothing for him because Denver's paying his salary. So you might as well just try it out, right?
See what you got.
I think
I picked up Russ.
I think the New York is favored by -2 here. Listen, if the New York Jets go to 2-5, it will be pandemonium in New York. Yeah. I'm not sure if Davante Adams plays this week. I don't know if he's cleared, if he's healthy, whatever. But even with, I'll say this: if Davante Adams plays, I think the Jets win. If he doesn't play, I think they lose.
All right. Well,
that's what I'm going with.
It has been reported that Davante Adams will play. So
then I picked them to win.
Picking the Jets. Yeah. Are they favored in this game?
Yeah, by 2.
Yeah. The Jets are going to win this game. I mean, at this point, it's they win or they're done. You know, their season's basically over. So this is like an absolute must-win game for them, and they would have invested trading for Davante Adams and, bringing all these guys in, like this. They've got Rodgers and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall and Davante Adams and Braylon Allen now is like a pretty good rookie running back. And then on the defense side of the ball, they got weapons galore. They got Sauce Gardner and, they're a tough defensive team as well. They just fired their head coach and they brought in another coach and their offense looked better, but then it didn't because in the second half they only really scored like 1 touchdown, right? Because the other one was like a Hail Mary, which was luck at the end of the half, and then they only scored 3 points and they missed like 2 field goals, and it was a little unlucky. They had that crappy holding call. It should have been a touchdown for Braylon Allen. Instead it gets pushed back and then they miss field goal. So, I mean, the Jets are in a must-win now. Davante Adams will be ready. He'll probably get targeted by Rodgers like 12 times and Garrett Wilson 12 times. He's going to be throwing the ball and they're going to be trying to run it. I think Steelers, though, man, they have a tough defense.
Yeah, they do.
And it's going to be really hard. Really hard. It's going to be another grinded game. Just like last week with Buffalo.
Yeah.
But the Jets gotta find a way.
The Jets, listen, I don't like the Jets, right? Like I'm a Dolphins fan, but the Jets are a handful of plays away from being a 5-1 team. They really are. They are 2 missed field goals away from beating the Bills. They are a terribly thrown Aaron Rodgers pass interception away from beating the Minnesota Vikings, and they are a few plays away from beating the Denver Broncos. Right? They lose the Broncos by a point. I think time runs out in essence. So those are 3 games that should be W's that they should have won, right?
Yeah.
So the Denver Broncos game, the Minnesota Viking game, and the Buffalo Bills games are 3 games that the Jets very easily could have won, right?
Yeah.
So to me, this is a get right game for them. I think they get this one, and I think they move forward. I think the Jets win this. Yes, Pittsburgh's defense is super tough. I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see. But I'm thinking the Jets. You're picking the Jets. We're moving on.
Yeah. I just one thing about Russell Wilson, I don't know how good he's going to be because he's been so bad.
No one does.
Lately.
No one does.
It's just like we'll see what happens, but it's interesting that they decided to start him this game against the Jets, who have a pretty good defense.
Pretty good defense.
It might be a mistake. He might come out and throw some interceptions and get sacked a bunch, and might lose.
Maybe they want to make him a scapegoat. Maybe they're looking for an excuse to go with Justin Fields so that no one gives them crap about it. You know,
we'll let him get crushed in this game so he can bring Fields back.
So we can bring Fields back. Okay, NFC West. The Chargers go to Arizona. I'm sorry, not NFC West. What am I saying? I thought the Chargers were the Rams for a second.
Nope.
AFC West versus NFC West. The Chargers go to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Chargers are favored by 2.5. Jim Harbaugh coming back on the sidelines will be wearing a heart monitor on the sidelines as he coaches a very stressful game of football. So we'll see how that goes. He's had these issues before in the past, and it hasn't stopped him. I believe, like his first season with the Niners, he had a heart issue that had to get corrected and whatever. And so, it's reared its ugly head again here for the Chargers. He didn't get to coach the last game. He had to be taken to the hospital before the game even started. But the Chargers do go out and get the win last week, even without Harbaugh on the sidelines. Harbaugh's back wearing the heart monitor, playing the Arizona Cardinals. And, before the season started, I would have told you that Arizona is a cakewalk, but and I know they're in your division, and I know you have opinions about the Cardinals, but there are glimpses of greatness in this team, and I feel like it's weird saying this because Kyler Murray has been in the league now for 5 years, 6 years, but it's funny to say that he's on the verge of figuring it out 5 years in, but I truly think that he's on the verge of figuring it out. And again, it goes back to you surround these guys with good players, and you kind of see what happens, right? So now you get a Marvin Harrison Jr. on that team. It elevates the play of Kyler Murray. You get a competent head coach in there. It elevates the play of Kyler Murray. So having said all that, I'm picking the Chargers.
Honestly, Arizona's defense is not that good. The Chargers, I expect big games from the Chargers offense players here. I think Justin Herbert finally is going to have a big game. This is the game where he's going to come out and have a couple of touchdowns that he throws. And J.K. Dobbins has been awesome. Story, with coming off the injuries, all the injuries that he's kind of overcome over the years, like season-ending injury after season-ending injury. So I expect a big game out of him as well. He's Gus Edwards is on IR now, so he's the guy now. He's the guy in the backfield. He's going to be backed up by Vidal, but he's a rookie. I don't see him getting much work. Harbaugh's going to lean on this run game. That's what he does, and then they'll do some play action passes and things like that with Herbert. And I think their offensive output will be good this game because Arizona's defense is not that great. I think Arizona, they'll score a little bit, but they're going to have trouble because Chargers have a pretty decent defense as well. So, they've got some good players on that side of the ball.
Yeah, they got Mac, and got Bosa and Mac, and they've got some decent players on there for sure.
Good players. So I expect the Chargers to win this game. And what's the spread on that game? Is it
-2.5 Chargers?
Yeah, Chargers will cover.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'll go with the Chargers.
The last game that we're going to preview is the second of the 2 Monday night games. So forgot to mention that the Chargers-Cardinals game is a Monday night game. It starts at 6 p.m. Pacific. The second Monday night game starts 45 minutes earlier at 5:15 Pacific. The Baltimore Ravens travel to Tampa to play
everyone will be watching.
the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seriously. The Baltimore Ravens looking hot at 4-2. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers looking hot at 4-2.
Yeah.
Something's got to give in this game. And I'm just going to go back to what I said at the beginning of this podcast. Baltimore right now, to me, is the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
They are firing on all cylinders. Everything is looking good. The only concern I have about Baltimore is their defense is good, but they're in a lot of shootouts, man. There are a lot of teams, even the Cowboys, who did not look good against the Lions, mounted a comeback against the Ravens in that game that they lost, right? So, and now you're talking about a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team where it's like the norm for Baker Mayfield to be throwing 4 touchdowns in a game.
It's crazy. Yeah.
You know what?
It's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, Yeah. Am I brave enough to pick the Buccaneers here? No, I'm not. Baltimore Ravens are winning this game.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a high-scoring game. Probably going to be what's the over-under on this game? I bet it's the highest one of the week.
49.5 is the over-under. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like no. Detroit, Minnesota has a higher one at 50.5. But that's it. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. Atlanta, Seattle has the highest one, 51.
Pretty close.
Atlanta, Seattle has 51, but nonetheless, 49.5 is a pretty high over/under. Yeah.
Yeah, this game's gonna have a lot of scoring. Both defenses, like, they play well, but then they give up a lot of points. So I mean, I don't know. Like, they'll usually make some splash plays, like some interceptions, some other things like that, but they're still not stopping them from scoring touchdowns in the end. So it's going with both teams essentially. Like Baltimore, I don't know what's been going on with their defense. They haven't been as good as they were last year. Last year they were super dominant. But this year they're in a lot of these shootout games. They're scoring a lot of points, and Tampa Bay's been scoring a lot of points and doing the same thing. So that's a recipe for a lot of points. So this game's going to easily get to 60. So
that's our hot take, that there's going to be a lot of points in this game. Just let everyone know.
A lot of points.
A lot of points.
A lot of fantasy. We call it what? Fantasy goodness.
Hashtag a lot of points for this game.
So I'm going to pick the Ravens to win the game because they're the best team in the NFL right now. Yeah. And we talked about it last week. So, they're the team right now to beat. And if Tampa Bay beats them, then
props to Tampa Bay.
A whole lot of stuff to talk about next.
Props to Tampa Bay if they do.
Yeah.
So listen, y'all. Last week, Tassi and I were 12-2 in our picks out of 14 games. I predicted 12 of the games correctly. He predicted 12 of the games correctly. We disagreed on 2 of the games. One of them I got wrong. One of them he got wrong. So that brings us to 12-2. 12-2. So just saying, if you listen to us, maybe some things will happen for you. Not advocating for you to follow our advice or anything like that. Not responsible for any losses you might have. Just putting that out there right now. Disclaimer, like, we are not responsible for any of that stuff, but we picked some good ones last week. This week, I think, is a little bit harder. That KC Niners game, I think, is really hard to predict. That Detroit Minnesota game is going to be hard to predict. This Baltimore Tampa game, a little hard to predict. Hell, the Dolphins Colts game is a little hard to predict. Who the hell knows what's going to happen there? Jets Steelers is hard to predict. So we'll see if we were right or wrong when we come back on our Monday episode of the PCW podcast after both Monday night games are done. We'll come back, talk about both those games and everything that happened in between and all the stories leading to the next Thursday night game as we close out week 7. This is your friendly reminder to like and subscribe to the PTW podcast. We are growing on our YouTube platform. Thank you for watching all our shorts. watching all our
Yeah.
reels on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is @the_PTW_podcast. And wherever else you're listening to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything like that, thank you for listening to us there. As always, again, make sure to like and subscribe to the PTW podcast. We will be back on Monday with additional episodes and our review and our recap and our analysis, whatever verbiage you want to use, of week 7. Hopefully, Tossi's in a good mood after that Niners-Chiefs game.
Let's go, Niners. Kick these guys' ass for once. God damn it.
Hopefully, I'm in a good mood and my team gets their shit together and can beat an Anthony Richardson-led Colts. Let's see if we're both in good moods on Monday.
Let's hope so.
Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. And we will see you in the next one. Take care.